Welcome to the brand new motor racing complex here at Sandown in Victoria for the 1984 Castrol 500. It's round 3 of the 84 Endurance Championship and it promises to be a magnificent race. There's an all-new circuit, some 800 metres longer than it used to be, to a total length now of 3.9 kilometres, and we're standing atop of a brand new pit complex worth some $600,000. Just a few moments ago, the Premier of Victoria opened the brand new circuit.
We think Victoria's a great state and tourism is an important part of developing this state. And what we have here today means a lot for tourism and therefore it means a lot for Victoria. I'm therefore very delighted to now move forward and drop the flag to formally open and officially open this great international circuit.
Sandown, and without any question, Australia's finest. 38 cars that have taken delivery that qualified yesterday. This is the way they line up. Just a tenth of a second between the two on the front row of the grid. The car qualified first and second in the first 2 rounds of the Endurance Championship, and which won the first. That's the Bluebird Turbo. Johnson and French were second at Oran Park, and then Brock Perkins didn't run at Oran Park, but their second car did with Harvey and Parsons. And the second group of 4, making, by the first 6 we actually have 5 different makes and models of motor car. Harris and Harrop were second at Oran Park, and then we see on the third group of cars, the 12, the flag down and they're away around 369 laps of the third round of the Endurance Championship, the Castrol 500, with Brock and Johnson swarming over the Bluebird Turbo, and Johnson should be first into the first corner. But what about Fury down the inside?
Bumps all over the place.
And is it Moffat that was off on the inside?
No, it's the Jones-Cullen car.
Well, on the inside of the track, one of the Mazdas took to the grass.
And it's Dick Johnson leads from Peter Brock, George Fury, then Alan Grice.
And we still haven't seen, I think, Moffat in that leading group.
JPS BMW behind Grice by Jim Richards. But it's Dick Johnson, the most powerful car on the track, the big Ford Falcon, the Australian Touring Car Champion for 1984, heading Peter Brock.
Johnson led this race only in first gear last year. When he went into second, the car died. Look for Moffat. There he is, a long way back. He did get sent off on the inside of that first corner. So he is ninth place indeed. As we see Jansen come down inside one of the Kmart cars, but the leader is Johnson. 5.7 litres, nearly 500 horsepower, more than 100 horsepower more than Peter Brock, but over 1,400 kilos for Johnson's car, 1220 for Brock. Fury, fastest qualifier, third. Then it's Grice, second fastest. Then the Richards BMW, then Harvey Parsons, then the Jansen Rogers car, Rogers driving.
And even now, on full fuel loads, they're getting their front wheels up through these new S's, very tight, and already starting to put massive strain on their transmissions, more so ever than at any other Sandown meeting. Down the main straight for the first time, in fact, in front of the packed grandstand. The Ford fans waving their flags in the grandstand.
Why not? Their hero has a 1.3 second lead. There's Moffat, back outside Gary Rogers, in front of him now.
And Rice goes through into third.
Let's have a look again at the first corner on the first lap. When we come to the next camera, there's Moffat. And look, oh, gee, Kmart car all over the top of him. You'll see Moffat now come off into the grass.
There it is, that's the Kmart car on the inside there. It's car 8, I think. That's the Jones-Cullen car.
And look at Moffat. He catches it beautifully, the tail about to spin him right round, and on the outside of the track, another car going wild.
And no, that is in fact the Jones-Cullen car, which has gone right over to the other side of the track, been propelled over there by Moffat, and a phenomenal avoidance by John Harvey on Moffat as well. So we come back to the race, and it's Dick Johnson leading.
Question mark, therefore, on both those cars as to whether they're healthy.
Peter Brock still in second position. George Fury in third. Alan Grice in fourth. Jim Richards in fifth, and John Harvey in sixth.
Brock takes 2/10 of a second from Johnson.
There's Moffat in seventh position.
So Moffat's progress in the field suggests that the car is healthy. Left-hand drive car, so it was happening on the offside to Moffat.
Moffat being very tight-lipped about his plans on the circuit, but it's possible that he could be taking a big chance in this race. While most teams are going for 2 pit stops, Moffat may well have started this race on a light fuel load, only 60 litres of fuel instead of the 130 is allowed, and going for 3 fuel stops to try and really sprint away from the opposition.
Damage on the right front guard, as you can see, the car crickled there. 1.58 seconds the lead of Johnson over Brock. Now we look at the second Holden dealer team car being led by Jim Richards, and then Moffat hauling them in. And the leaders.
Johnson,
with the cars now on lap 8, 7 completed, this is the situation. Altered fairly dramatically. Grice is pressing Brock very hard for second place. Further back you can see Fury falling back behind, not now behind the second Marlboro Holden dealer team car, but up in second place. The other car is also reining in Dick Johnson, the race leader. The compression over the first 3 has come down from 2.6 seconds in 2 laps to 1.34. There it is. Johnson actually has got a bit of a sprint on now, pulled a little bit on Brock, but Brock is being pressured by Grice. In 4th place is the Harvey Parsons car, 5th place is Fury, 6th place is Moffat, and 7th is Jim Richards in the BMW. Johnson reveling in the power of the car, which is handling pretty well too. This appears not to be a circuit with tyre wear problems at this stage, which will suit the big cars well.
Peter McLeod, the man currently leading the Australian Endurance Championship in the Slick 50 Mazda going through there, is in fact 1 lap down. There's John Harvey sharing with the young find of the Holden dealer team this year, David Parsons. There goes Fury with Moffat right behind him. These 2 cars, the ones predicted to be the ones to beat here at Sandown International Raceway on the new tight circuit, and yet they're back behind the V8s.
And Johnson at 148.19, so nearly 3 seconds slower. The best qualifying lap by Fury, who's dropped back but still going in the position where he is now. So appears to have sort of settled the revs a touch, but be okay. Then we see Harvey and Parsons beautifully placed in 4th, Fury dropping back to 5th, Moffat 6th, and not making great impression on him. This is rather telling to see how easy it is for a car without the grunt of the big cars out of a corner, how well he can get by, and that's Moffat's problem. Bluebird, on the other hand, with, if anything, a turbo lag problem. Interesting to compare them with the big 5-litre V8 in front. Everybody very tentative about transmissions for this race, and so trying to take corners a gear higher if possible. Looking for places where they can get out of second gear and flow through in 3rd. All of these tight corners, potential second gear corners, except for Dandenong Road, which these days, if they were really going for a time, is a 1st gear corner.
The first of the Group A cars being lapped. That's Colin Bond's Alfa Romeo. Car ran in Group E specification all this year. Has just been upgraded to Group A specification, which is the Australian Touring Car title for next year. And look how tight that corner is as Fury comes down now to challenge Harvey. And there goes Moffat. 3 abreast, my goodness. Moffat had to get out of there. Harvey takes it back again. But there is no passing through that section. That is how difficult it is.
Great to see the Bluebird suddenly come on to power on the turbo and then romp away from Moffat. Came out of the corner gloriously well.
And then look at the V8 down the main straight. This corner at the end of the main straight, far tighter than it was on the old circuit. It becomes a very hard left-hander. And there's the leader, Dick Johnson, up the back straight as the men in 4th, 5th and 6th position enter the back straight.
1.98 seconds his lead now over Brock, who is 1.32 seconds ahead. You look at the 1.98, 1.32 to Grace.
And Grace in a brand new Holden VK Commodore. Back to lapped vehicles.
That started on lap 5.
And here comes Harvey. That's Peter McLeod in the Slick 50 car. Had trouble all weekend and just hasn't got the vehicle going. Cracked a manifold, had a hairline crack in it, just couldn't get the vehicle to go. And he's obviously in trouble. And there's Moffat still back behind Fury with Harvey in front of him again. McLeod knows he's done and gets out of the way.
This is an enormous test right now for the new Sandown track to see how well cars coming through can lap slower cars, because this is an awfully tight section of circuit. It's this section that could be a first gear corner if they were really flying for a time.
There's the leader, Dick Johnson. Behind him is Peter Brock. There's Brock. There goes Rice in the Roadways car. And there's a big gap back to John Harvey in 4th position, followed by George Fury, followed by Alan Moffat. Then way in the background you can see looming the black JPS BMW of Jim Richards there.
0.6 of a second only as Moffat goes to the inside. Good enough, got him.
And has the corner covered on the way out.
5th place Alan Moffat, 6th place George Fury, 4th John Harvey, to be relieved later by David Parsons. Laps completed on their 13th. 129 laps, 500 kilometres, the race distance.
Moffat attempting through motorcraft there to make the track just marginally shorter, taking every advantage he can. Fury faster up the back straight, substantially faster up the back straight than Moffat. Here comes Moffat down the inside on Harvey under brakes, and he's got him. And it slows him right down, giving George Fury the opportunity to come up and give him the gypsy tap. Woof. So Alan Moffat moves into 4th position behind Dick Johnson, Peter Brock and Alan Grace. There's the leader. Dick Johnson passes cars up the back straight. In fact, goes through the Jansen car with a map of Tasmania upon its door. Aha! Gary Scott and George Fury into the pits on lap 33. That's early, and it is not in a rush. We got a problem. Howard Marsden down with the car. What a shame.
From 5th place, we go back to Dick Johnson. Normally aspirated, gigantically big bores and stroke in the 5.7 litre Falcon. Gary Rogers through there, doing the first stint with Jansen's car. Kmart, Commodore and Brock in
on lap 34.
Larry Perkins will go into the car. Brock out.
Second churn of fuel going in. 4 tyres going on the motor car.
I wonder if they're sticking with Yokohama's.
Fueling finished. Brock out of the motor car. And go. Perkins stuck behind a slower car, as you can see, and he will not be happy about that. One of the Geminis wisely corrects his spin and gets out of the way as we look at Dick Johnson in the pits.
Handing over to
On lap 37, Johnson takes his pit stop, so he's not going to get through with another stop either, perhaps.
And there's Greg Hansford in the foreground, ready to get into Alan Moffat's Mazda,
You can see
incidentally.
him wired for sound and also for cooling. He has a helmet cooler on, which pumps cool water through the bottom of his helmet.
Greg Hansford won a round of the Queensland Rally Championship last weekend and is thoroughly enjoying his rallying in a Mazda RX-7. And the Stuyvesant team looking for Moffat and I think signalling that he's coming.
Johnson had a very fast...
There he is, Alan Moffat into the pits. Johnson over 40 seconds in the pits now as Moffat comes in.
Johnson practiced his pit stop earlier today at 35 seconds, and he's gone way over that now. We're at 49 and still counting, and the car's still sitting there. In fact, the car's still sitting there to the degree that I wonder what something's wrong.
It's a 3 pit stop race for all the front runners.
Something is wrong with Dick Johnson's car, not a shadow of a doubt about it. The team is not moving around it. They put new tyres on it. Moffat's been in. He's about to go again. He has to be pushed just to get him slightly away.
At the completion of lap 38, Moffat pitted.
But the early race leader, Dick Johnson, is now 1 minute 20 seconds in the pits and counting. There's Dickie J. He's out of the event.
David Parsons now with his first competitive drive as we see Grice passing Alan Moffat, the race leader, going by 4th place. Moffat going by him again though under brakes. And this will be interesting. The two people who love to hate each other most. Will one of them be rash? And Grice saying, I'm coming down the inside and if you don't move, I shall hit you.
I think Alan Moffat got the message.
Yes, Alan Grice just came down there, and if Moffat had not moved his car, there was no question. Oh, a door open.
For Parsons. So, David, I don't care if you don't like it, you've got to drive it. It's not working. Do we have a problem for David Parsons, and will we see him pull into the pits at the end of this race, at the end of this lap? Because it appears that he can't get the door closed.
Grice Moffat breaking up in that argument as Grice, is he prepared to go to the pits?
No, continues on.
So Grice is 1 lap up now on Moffat and more than a minute ahead of 2nd place Jim Richards. 3rd place is 05, Larry Perkins in Peter Brock's car. 4th place down a lap Moffat, 5th place Parsons, 6th place car number 8, which is the Warren Cullen Alan Jones car after its pit stop. 7th, Gary Rogers yet to stop for Peter Jansen, and 8th place Murray Carter John Koss.
Parsons still trying to close the door. He's decided not to pull into the pits that time, but he still can't get it closed. He is wasting so much time out there. He'd be better off going into the pits and seeing what he can do.
Must have a belt or something in the way. What an embarrassment to the young man, not his fault obviously, who is having his first race laps for the Marlborough Holden dealer team. Did so superbly, qualifying in the top 10, I think was 6th fastest last year, and Gary Rogers has obviously damaged the front of the brand new VH Commodore of Peter Jansen.
75.27 seconds separates Alan Grice from car 31 Jim Richards. And then there's a further 13 seconds back to Larry Perkins in 3rd position.
Now, Grice, 48 laps completed on his 49th. And headed for the pits yet? We wait and see. Doing some two-wheeling. And
Jansen out already.
Peter Jansen.
Half a lap done. That's all he's done. Half a lap and he's out.
Question mark when Grice does pit is whether Richards will be able to go through to the lead. Richards completing his run down the front straight now as Grice is heading back towards the pit area in the back section of the circuit. So it's, say, 5/6 of a lap. It's a major part, well over a minute. Bryce Pitts.
Here comes Bryce. He's in. Lap 49. 80 laps remaining. Set up for the stop and the watches start to go.
Teams painting their own sections on the track. You see where they had the paint mark for the airlift jacks and the mark at the front where the car was to stop. 12 seconds.
New one on.
15. 20. Jim Richards second place, the black BMW, number 31, to hand over to rookie Tony Longhurst. Never raced in a car as powerful. Well, he has. The Camaro, let's say, capable of lapping as fast.
Started and he's gone in 35.86 seconds. That's good going.
And will hold his lead. The race situation at the moment is rather interesting. Larry Perkins is losing ground, not only to Steve Harrington, going out to 20.5 seconds in arrears from holding at the low 18 mark, but he is now behind David Parsons, who's gone in front of him and moving away. The new team recruit, Alan Moffat, has pulled down from 34.6 to 32.5 to 30.58, and he is, of course, in third place. Jim Richards is going out substantially from 25 now to 31.7 seconds in arrears in fourth place, and fifth place, Alan Jones, is 25 seconds behind the BMW in fourth.
The leader of the Group A category at the moment is car 77, the Peter Williamson car, being co-driven by Charlie O'Brien. One of the things that one of the difficulties that the team ran into earlier today was that Charlie O'Brien's driving shoes were impounded by the scrutineers because they had a hole in the sole. And it appeared that the only way O'Brien was going to get into this car, and he's in it at the moment, was by borrowing Peter Williamson's driving shoes. Let's see if he did. Alan Moffat in the pits for the second stop. We'll go back to Peter Williamson in a moment. This time Moffat is definitely out of the car and Greg Hansford goes into it.
The water-cooled helmet, piping, hanging down the back of the 43-year-old driver. Ready mechanically on the left side of the car, ready at the back with fuel. Driver not ready. Hansford tall, long-legged.
And they're away. And Alan Moffat,
more than 30 seconds.
Exhausted. In third position in the Castrol 500, Jim Richards is in trouble on lap 74. He is limping to the pits. He has just been passed, lapped in fact, by Larry Perkins in second place.
Which means that Parsons will come by and unlap himself on him. But Richards going to be very lucky to get to his pits. There's a little bit uphill here, and can he make it? Yes, okay, there's no problem. But obviously major problems.
The black-shirted JPS team standing there waiting for the car to arrive. Word from the driver before they go for the tyre change, and they'll do it anyway as Frank Gardner comes around to get the bad news from Jump.
Well, just as David Parsons didn't get into car number 25 in his, what was to be his debut race at Oran Park, in which Tony Longhurst, the recruit to the team from Group E series production type racing, may well not get a drive here at Sandown in his debut race drive.
Jim Richards, what was the problem?
Well, I'm not sure, but it's something to do with the drive line. It's just broken a tooth off something. It just won't, it'll drive, but it makes a lot of noise.
It appears to be one of many cars having transmission problems at the moment. Is it hard on the cars out there?
Well, we were driving at a pace that wasn't that hard on the car, but unfortunately it must have been a little bit too fast.
Shame for Tony.
Yes, it was.
Good luck for Bathurst.
Thank you.
Alan Jones, the 1980 world champion, car 8, the Kmart car for Warren Cullen in third position. And Jones is giving this car everything he can and still keeping it intact. That's the mark of a champion. Just look how he's using his hands on the wheel. Here it comes, car 05 in second position. This will put Jones into, perhaps put Jones into second place. And Perkins in at high speed down the main straight. Colin Bond's got himself moving. Well done. Only a little bit of fuel to be used to get himself back to the pits. As in the pits, car 05 takes its pit stop. 4 tyres going on.
The critical thing about this pit stop is that they've done 48 laps since the last one, and in fact 48 would get them to race end 130 laps from here, so this should be their last stop. So on the basis that they had plenty of fuel left at the first stop, they and Harrington on a 2-stop basis for the race.
And while we cut, and there's the door problem for David Parsons. He's in trouble and he's having to hold the door open, so it'll be an early stop for David Parsons. Meantime, I'm prepared to bet that Peter Brock has just got under 30 seconds for that last stop. Brock into the car, Perkins out. I put my watch on as they came to a halt, and it was 29.93 seconds until Brock's wheels rolled again. Like a Sydney taxi.
We haven't seen this since Murray Carter went down through the S's at Bathurst in a Falcon, with the door flopping open, the rear door, and right-hand corners closing and left-handed.
There's no way Parsons can continue with that door doing that. And from the lesson we've learned from Peter Brock, he can afford to pit now, as he does not do, but he's going to let the pits know that he's got the problem. There we go, fellas.
How he must be cursing.
But now he can afford to hand over to John Harvey again and get to the finish. That is assuming that his carburation setup is the same as that on Brock's car. Here comes Jones.
Driven too fast and had a couple of bad crashes as Jones pulls in now for Cullen.
And here comes Parsons also into the pits to hand over to John Harvey. Tape the door up once more. We're on lap 85.
Well, talking about Marlborough Holden dealer team cars, the other car in the team, I've just taken a time on it, Brock doing a 49.65. Averaging 128 kilometres an hour, really flying and chasing Harrington.
Brock is 63.39 seconds behind Harrington on that lap.
And Harrington has a pit stop to come.
David Parsons, the first real chance to have some competitive laps with the Marlborough Holden dealer team. Are you enjoying yourself so far?
Yeah, it's delightful, apart from a bit of hard work with that door. But
Yeah, we didn't know whether it was part car or part aeroplane there for a while.
yeah, it became a bit tricky after a while. You know, and he pulled me right arm out of my socket. Pulled me left arm out because I was hanging on the steering wheel trying to drive, but anyhow, I cope with it.
Certainly jumping in at the deep end with problems like that.
Yeah, oh, well, it's just one of those things that happens, but the car's excellent. Track's very slippery. It's great.
And there's the hometown crowd telling Brocky to go.
49.99 second lap that time, 127.8 kilometres an hour. 5 seconds faster than Moffat's team manager, Alan Horsley, reckoned would be the race pace, which probably says a lot about why Moffat is 1 lap down to the leader and in 3rd place, because the race is being run faster than they ever forecast.
And here they come. Bryce and Harrington in for the pit stop.
I think in a problem. They came in slowly. Let's watch.
There is no tyre going on the left-hand side of the motor car. There is fuel going into the motor car, but there are no tyres going on.
And Brock is 1 minute 14 seconds into his lap that will take him past this car and back into the lead.
The bonnet
He's round
is
the back section of the circuit.
Are they opening the bonnet? Yes, they are. No, there's a rattle in the car somewhere, Harrington's saying, by the looks of it.
They
30.
cannot now retain the lead as Brock comes round to the final corner to come onto the straight.
That's Grice in the motor car being strapped in, but there are no tyres going on.
And the crowd stands up in the grandstand as they see Peter Brock come round and go back into the lead, and they're cheering and they're waving their arms. And Peter Brock in the car 05, the Marlborough Holden dealer team Commodore, resumes the lead in the Castrol 500 at Sandown on
lap 89.
It's lap 90 at least. Get an update with our scorers.
And there goes Grice out now. He spent more than 1 minute and 10 seconds in the pits. It is Grice back in the motor car. He is still in second position. We are concerned as to why he didn't change tyres. Could it be that he's simply going out to assess the condition of the motor car after Stephen Harrington has said that it's got problems? I have a watch on the gap between Brock back to Grice,
which is 19.5 seconds.
Thank you, Will.
So now second place, Moffat third, unlapped, so back on the same lap as the two V8 Commodores. Fourth place, Warren Cullen now driving car 8 again.
Oh, and a fire in the pits, fire in the pits. It's down the bottom end of the pit row as the cars enter the pits. It's car 32.
The Mazda of Peter Hopwood and David Grace.
That's the Chris Clearahan car. Clearahan was banned from driving that car by CAMS after a skirmish in the pits with Alan Moffat on Friday, in which allegedly blows were thrown, and Peter Hopwood stepped into the motor car to take over the drive from Clearahan. Grice in second position. Peter Brock goes down the main straight, and the gap between Grice and Brock has opened substantially from the 19 seconds that Will had him on earlier.
Got a problem, I think.
Steve Harrington, your car into the pits quite quickly, and we noticed that no tyres were put on board.
That's right, Neil. We've found that the compound of Dunlop tyre that we're running today is holding up to the conditions very well, and there was absolutely no need whatsoever to change tyres.
Your thoughts on the circuit?
It's very, very slippery out there at the moment. There's a lot of debris on the track. A lot of cars have been off. The slow cars are not giving us a fair run, I don't feel, but that's motor racing.
And after the fire, Peter Hopwood, David Grace, Mazda, back out onto the circuit again.
And here comes the man with whom they fell into some difficulty on Friday. Meantime, the gap between first and second has come out to 24.37 seconds.
So can Grace now catch Brock? And it would seem not. But stopwatches will give us a better indication. 92 completed, 93 coming up, 36 remaining. And they've been racing for 2 hours, 52 minutes. Coming up to 53. Not able to get up and to spar again with Brock, well, it's very bad luck, because he's run a great race, as has his team, and I can't be enthusiastic enough by the support job done by Steve Harrington in the middle section. I think he did an absolutely grand job there, matching everybody who was likely to catch him.
With some 30-odd laps, 35, 37 laps remaining in a motor race. In my memory, Will, it is unprecedented for a driver not to change his tyres, at least as a precautionary measure.
So I can't see the... It's playing a risk by my measure, but then again, they seem very happy.
Oh, the news comes through that car 8, the Warren Cullen Alan Jones car, has stopped on the track. We'll try and locate where in a moment. In the meantime, he was 1 lap down in third position.
Grice doing a 50.8 on that lap, averaging 126.7, so he's not hanging about.
I said third position for Jones. In fact, I'm in fourth. In first place is Peter Brock. In second place is Alan Grice. Third place is Greg Hansford in the Alan Moffat car. Now in fourth position is John Harvey in the second of the Marlborough Holden dealer team cars.
In the first 4 positions, we've got 3 of the debuting VK Commodores having their first race. Alan Moffat in a car that he first ran back in 1982, the first of the left-hand drive built cars. 65, one of the 3-litre Capris. This one, John Kraft and Les Gross running second. It's not running second in Class A at all, as our scorers tell us, because it is an under 3-litre Group C car, as Warren Cullen, obviously with problems, being slow out the track, comes to the pits and to help, he hopes.
This occurring on lap 93. There's Brock in the lead.
Oh, look at Brock working hard. He is chasing times. Bryce much slower that lap. Down into the 53s. So we'll get a gap. Brock first place, de Grice second place shortly. Now, what will be really worrying Brock is they've planned it all correctly strategically. Will the car hang together, or will the transmission problem that's afflicted quite a number of the other cars strike theirs as well?
Peter Brock on the track. His arch rival in the pits, Alan Moffat, and Neil Crompton is with him now.
Alan Moffat back in the pits and a chance now to cool down after some very hard work.
Well, yes, Greg's in the car now and he'll take it through to the finish. That was our plan. I was just a little bit disappointed about the opening lap. I didn't think it necessary to knock you off the track on the opening lap. I didn't think that was necessary. But that's life. I survived and I'm very happy. I drove the car as hard as I could. A bit disappointing to see the whole competitive, but we wouldn't have expected anything better here with all the stop-start corners. We can't keep our little Mazda running. I think it'll be a different story at that.
Hansford in car 43 in third place, has been lapping in the 51, late 51s, and looking very good with it. As Brock does a similar lap time actually on that occasion, so Hansford lapping pretty much I think as quickly as at this stage as Grice in second place and Brock in first. They won of course the second round of this year's 6-round endurance championship at Oran Park on the 19th of August and did it very nicely indeed, but looks now fairly unlikely with 26 laps remaining for them to be able to repeat the dose. You might remember the point score we put up earlier. Peter McLeod leading the series on 31 points from a third and a 7th place from Gary Scott 25. Neither of them to feature in this one, nor Dick Johnson, nor Brian Nightingale lying 4th, nor Richards lying 5th, nor Glenn Seaton 6th, Bob Stevens and Mike Bergman equal 7th. So Moffat and Hansford will come up. They will get 25 points each in a race that requires a second driver and will leap to the lead in the series. They will come up from 12.5 to 37.5. No, sorry, but they're not in first place. They're on third points, which is 20 each, on top of 12.5, 32.5. They'd still be 1.5 in the lead. Compared with Brock, who didn't start in hasn't started in either round, and Grice, who hasn't finished in either round. And there we are. Second place, 34.7 seconds in arrears. And I was saying, could Moffat win? And one of the two obstructions to him doing so is just now in massive trouble.
Lap 104, Grice stops. He tries to restart the motor car. The ignition light you can see coming on, and it's not happening. And he has to park it out on the circuit. That is the end of the motor race for Alan Grice.
Well, I sympathise. with Alan Grice from the Roadways team and Steve Harrington for a great job come to a premature end.
Fantastic effort from them, really
Yes.
well done.
Yep.
And the gap between Peter Brock back to Greg Hansford is 1 minute 38.7 seconds.
A lap all but 10 seconds or 12 seconds.
It'll be interesting to see which way that falls. As Warren Cullen and Alan Jones go back out onto the circuit, travelling very slowly up the main straight. There they are. It's Cullen in the car.
I'd like to raise the question as to whether the Stuyvesant Mazda can definitely go through to the end of the race without having to pit for a little bit of fuel. It was lap 37 that Hansford went into the car, which is 82 laps.
No, he didn't. Alan Moffat came in on that lap, then went back out again. And Greg Hansford took his second
That's
stop,
right.
so in fact it's had 2 stops.
It seemed too long for Greg Hansford. I'd forgotten his second stop. Brock is only about 13 seconds behind him, of course, on the track. Therefore, almost a lap in front. And the gap between them most easily detected by timing it from the second place car back to first, and that gap is 9.3 seconds, so Brock appears to be hauling him in.
Interestingly, with Cullen rejoined, he rejoins in 9th position, even though he's lost some 16 laps. He's still in 9th place behind Peter Brock.
The Australian Endurance Championship last year, equal number of points as manufacturers to Holden and Mazda, 131, from Ford on 84, BMW on 67, Nissan 50, Audi 21, Chevrolet and Alfa Romeo equal on 11, each 7th outright. But the championship as a driver, won by Peter McLeod, the Mazda RX-7 from Jim Richards, 5 points ahead, 72 to 67. George Fury, Alan Moffat, Alan Grice, Greg Hansford, and problems for Warren Cullen in 9th place, 9 laps behind. Just to finish that, it was Hansford, Finnegan, Perkins, Brock 8th equal, 36.5 points.
This year, incidentally, after 2 rounds of the Manufacturers' Championship, Mazda leads the championship on 45 points from General Motors, Holden on 33, Ford on 32, Nissan 25, and BMW on 20.
39 kilometres, therefore, remaining in this Castrol 500-kilometre race. In the Australian Endurance Championship, 3 weeks' time, Bathurst is the 4th round. 4th of November, Surfers Paradise is the 5th round, and the 25th of November, Adelaide Raceway, the final round.
Incidentally, if they finish in the order they are now in, Mazda will still hold the lead on 68 points from Holden on 58.
As Cullen comes into the pits. Doesn't look to me like a second gear problem from the speed he's coming, but may well be the continuation of the carburetor problem that they had earlier. Probably is trickling around. No, it's not carburetor, it's back end.
And for Mick Webb, this also has become a development exercise as they now try to find out what's wrong at the back end of the motor car.
Alan Grice, just when things were looking good, the whole plan unfolds the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, a silly seatbelt. We just couldn't get done up. You'll never see that seatbelt again. And then we broke second gear. We were trying to nurse the gearbox. We thought it would be the Achilles heel of this type of motor car around here, and we obviously didn't nurse it enough. It's broken second gear, and I'd say there's no other gear, so it's probably the constant velocity at the centre of the gearbox.
Also, looking at your left hand here, Alan, it's showing a few blisters. It's a fairly difficult physical task out there.
It
Just
is.
have a look.
Yeah, it's a bit blistered. Got another event to go yet too, but never mind. But that's part of the course.
Well, hopefully you can learn from this and things will be better at Bathurst.
Yeah, it was a great hit out for a brand new motor car, and it certainly got the pace. And gearboxes aren't a problem at Bathurst, so, you know, I think we're looking good.
Alan Grice was in second gear 5 times on every lap, and it wasn't just a case of using second gear to work up to something else. It was second gear on, second gear off, then on again, really powering that gearbox in second cog, and really it had to break. And will I stand to be corrected, but with the exception of the Bernie Stack car from South Australia, the only 2 Holden Commodores left running in the race are the 2 Marlborough Holden dealer team Commodores in 1st and 3rd position. There are 4 Fords remaining, but only one of those is a Ford Falcon. The rest are an assortment of Escorts and Capris. There's 1 Alfa, 1 Isuzu, 4 Mazdas and 1 Toyota.
And this man romping away from them now, 1 lap, 33.97 seconds in front of second placed Greg Hansford in the Stuyvesant Mazda number 43, and it 34 seconds in front of third placed David Parsons and John Harvey, who appear to be making ground on Hansford in second.
There's the sole remaining Ford Falcon behind Alan Moffat. That of Alf Grant and Craig Harris, the Queensland-entered Falcon XD, which is the ex-Dick Johnston car, and doesn't he wish he still owned it today? There goes car 74, leading Class B as we believe. That's the Dean Lindstrom Mazda RX-7 in the under 3 litre class. And the car in 3rd position, John Harvey, and the tape is very precarious indeed, although what I guess at the top of that is a little bit of string.
Well, what's happened, I think, is the door's working on it and likely to chafe through the tape ultimately, because it has to go round inside the way they had it taped, the back door as well.
The Holden count has just gone up. Warren Cullen's back on the track, so we've now got 4 Holden Commodores out there.
Frank Gardner very worried, I think, as he prepared for this race, which has always been seen as a warm-up for drivers, crews, and so on for Bathurst. Now, not only is it not a warm-up for Bathurst, but it is much longer and harder on the cars. And he said, we're really faced with a total rebuild for the cars in 3 weeks' time, really only 2 weeks before they start to head to Bathurst. Must be in absolutely top fettle. 39 seconds in front of the car we were just looking at is this one, piloted at the moment by Greg Hansford.
There's car 25 in 3rd position, John Harvey at the wheel. And in front, we caught a glimpse of the Murray Carter John Goss Mazda RX-7 in 4th position, 3 laps down on Peter Brock, 2 laps down on Harvey. Goes by 1 more lap down. The noises in the back are probably getting louder as far as Brocky is concerned. Greg Hansford in 2nd position, 2 minutes 29.5 seconds in arrears. That's 1 lap and about 50 seconds. No, it's not. 1 lap and 30 seconds.
It's actually probably going to work out to be the average of those. 1 lap, about 40. You can see the mathematical section of Smale's brain turning over there. And my stopwatch tells me that it's 1 lap, 42.86 seconds in arrears in second place, and about 38 seconds in arrears on the same lap to John Harvey, presently piloting car number 25. A lot of laps further back to fourth place Murray Carter and John Goss, Valentine's car number 18, Mazda RX-7. So Mazda RX-7's holding second, fourth. Commodores holding first and third. In fifth place, another Commodore, 20, Jim Keogh, Terry Shield.
In fact, it's Bernie Stack. They changed numbers, and it's Bernie Stack in car 20, South Australia.
And then Toyota, Supra, Peter Williamson, Group A, 9 laps down now, and sixth outright.
John Goss doing it his way. The Holden count goes back to 3 on the circuit as Warren Cullen comes back in. But with only 5 laps remaining, it seems inconceivable that Warren Cullen would put it away at the moment, because there's still some prize money hanging even back there in the position he's in.
Peter Fitzgerald in the foreground, that's been sharing the drive with Colin Bond. The back of the circuit, Castrol corner, the old Peters corner and Arco corner. Up the kink in the back straight now to where they used to flow over the top, sometimes in top gear, sometimes back to third, bit of a dab of the brakes. It's hard braking at about 200 metres out. And then into this tight, slightly descending 270-degree switchback. Then to this one, which John Harvey likens to a right-hand version of the hairpin at Symonds Plains in Tasmania. Then this very tight infield circuit, which is most of the spot where they pick up the extra 800 metres needed to bring this up to Grand Prix length. Sandown track. And then onto the straight, where previously they used to hike under the Dunlop Bridge at about 180 clicks, flat biscuit in top gear, a very adventurous corner. They come out now punching hard in second at about 80 kilometres an hour. So they come onto the front straight 100 kilometres an hour slower than was the case with the old circuit.
$11,000 is the prize money Peter Brock will pick up for first place in the Castrol 500, and that'll make the Mules, as his pit crew are called, very happy tonight because they're on a bonus.
There was $54,000 up for grabs, a quite substantial prize bag for Sandown. 126 completed. On to 127, 3 remain. Peter Brock absolutely demolishing the field, out surviving the big cars, out driving the smaller ones, backed up beautifully by Larry Perkins, who so nearly made a career in international Formula One. And that's for Brock, and they'd much rather see him come in and give himself a safety buffer. He could almost keep 1 lap and do it. And let's see. That's the board. I don't know if he's been shown it yet, but that's the board that's on offer to him.
And for
He'll make the decision.
For Brock, it's a difficult decision to make, because to come into the pits means to turn off the engine. To turn off the engine means to take a risk as to whether or not the thing will fire up again, as distinct from staying out there for another 2.5 laps and cruising to the finish line.
If they'd done their homework, as some teams do, they would have run the car on very low fuel, and they'd know how many laps from the end before it runs out totally the car gasps its way around. In fact, with a dry brake fuel system, they don't have to switch off, so it would be very quick, which is how Hansford was able to do his 9-second stop. Dry brake meaning that there's a safety system that makes it almost impossible to spill fuel. and Terry Shield. No, Melvin.
That's the Mulvihill and Nightingale car. It looks like it's had a spin, in fact. So Bathurst can breathe easily because the car will get back up and running again.
A 51.23 second lap for Brock. 126.4. On his 128th lap, his last but one. Now the time when the driver can imagine all sorts of horrors and sounds coming through to him. But what a fantastic drive Peter Brock has stitched together today in a car beautifully built by the Holden dealer team. They ultimately will move to his HDT Special Vehicles workshop where they make the road cars for the public. But at the moment they're in their old separate premises. Brock now going out to 2 minutes 40.8
Yep.
over Hansford, so a lap and nearly 50 over the Stuyvesant Mazda. Third place, their teammates 36 seconds in arrears. John Harvey, David Parsons, the other MHDT car, and again, what a superb job of building and driving the team has made of this event. 3 laps in arrears to fourth place, Murray Carter, John Goss, number 18, the blue Mazda.
Here comes Brock into the pits for an emergency stop. He's going to take the fuel. He's got 2 minutes 40.8 seconds. They've even got tyres ready for him. Whether he'll like to take those is another matter.
Get them out of the way, they say, in fact, I think.
Stopped. One emergency churn. Blow back out.
7.2 seconds.
Yep, 7.28. Brock is out of the pits. He drops down to probably 2 minutes 20 seconds in front of Greg Hansford. Comes out in front of the Nightingale Mulvihill car.
And now goes on to his final lap. Brock, the Sandown crowd hero.
It's been a great debut for the VK Commodore and the Castrol 500 today, and it's been a great debut also for the new Sandown International Motor Racing Circuit. Undoubtedly, Australian motor racing has found a new proving ground at this track where a lot of drivers will have to do a lot of work to be very much better in future.
Yes, it's produced a number of new unknowns and other problems to be solved, but what a great motor race facility too. The pit area and ultimately VIP and press complex, $600,000 worth alone. And a section of track which I think teams and drivers will become more familiar with and adapt to better. But what a fantastic drive put on, well, car building and preparation by this team, but drive by Peter Brock particularly. Superb backing up by Larry Perkins, going to his 10th victory in this Sandown Enduro. More than 1 lap in front of the Stuyvesant Mazda crewed by Alan Moffat and Greg Hansford, and 38 points, a further 38.7 seconds in front of John Harvey and David Parsons in their team car.
Partisan crowd so with Brock now as he heads for the checkered flag, already waving to the plaudits of the crowd. Brock, who took 2 wins and 2 second places to come second in this year's Australian Touring Car Championship, and now well on the way to taking the double again, the Castrol 500 at Sandown and the James Hardy 1000 at Bathurst. Only half the length of the straight remaining for Peter Brock. As he crosses the finish line to take the checkered flag, Warren Cullen will limp through. There he is, to also take the checkered flag. And Peter Brock wins the Castrol 500 for 1984 amongst scenes of jubilation in the pits. In second place, 1 lap behind, will be Greg Hansford with Alan Moffat, and 38 seconds behind them, John Harvey with David Parsons.
Just over 4 hours of running, about 4 hours and 2 minutes to cover the 503 kilometres, 129 laps. Tremendous performance as an entire team effort. The track, the new facility in its first blooding, has stood up superbly. The track surface, no problems at all in terms of breaking up. And although the race started late, it was a great